Hey guys, welcome back. So we are still in National Preparedness Month. So today we're going to talk a little bit about go bags and why it's important for every member of your family to have a go bag. Because remember, disasters don't always schedule a good time for you. So whether it's a wildfire, blackout, or some type of sudden evacuation, you'll need to be ready to move and to move fast. So that's where these go bags come in, and they're very important. So in this video, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to pack into your go bag, some things that you may want to leave out, but we'll mainly talk about why it's important to have these bags ready to go for you. So you can set your bag up based on some of these recommendations, but customize it so that when the time comes, you're ready to move with your bag. So the first thing that the government does anytime there's an emergency is they tell everybody to shelter in place. The reason that they do this is it's a good idea because let's face it, our home is where all of our preps are, or all of our supplies are stored. Also, it's a place that we know very well. We can protect it if we need to. And bugging out or leaving that is always a last resort, because remember, when you leave your home, the second you leave, you become a refugee. But if something comes up, like a wildfire or a hazardous materials event, you may be forced from your home. So it's good to have these bags ready to go so you can throw them in your vehicle, grab a few other things, and leave on short notice. So a go bag is a portable emergency kit that's packed with all the essentials that you need to survive for approximately 72 hours. It is super important that every member of your household has one of these bags, because the things that I'm going to need in my bag are going to be different than what my wife needs or what my son needs. So each person's bag is going to be customized just for them and for their needs. So these aren't just for preppers. Everybody should have one of these. Because of my job, I've lived half of my adult life out of a bag of some kind. So I'm well versed in knowing what I need to get by for a couple of days out of my backpack and knowing what I may not need. So that's one of the reasons that I think that it is very, very important for you to make up one of these go bags or an emergency bag and try it out to see whether or not you can make it for a couple of days out of this. Because in the event that you have to leave your home, what you're carrying with you may be all that you have for several days. So we'll take a look at some of the items here that are recommended to go in these bags, and maybe a little bit about how to set them up. Water is going to be your number one survival priority. The two most important things to have are water and knowledge. Don't count on clean tap water during a disaster, and have a plan and the means to secure more water as needed. So here are some of the things that you need to carry in your pack to be able to have access to clean water. Next, pack enough food for 72 hours. Think compact, lightweight, and shelf stable. I prefer MRE type meals for this for two reasons over the dehydrated meals. The first one is you don't have to use your drinking water to rehydrate these meals. The second one is it tastes just as good cold as it does hot. So you don't have to take the time to heat them to get them ready to eat. Number 3 is going to be clothing, packed for your climate. You don't want to freeze, and you definitely don't want to overheat. It's important to update your bag about every 6 months. So spring and fall typically are going to be the best time to adjust clothing needs. Number 4 is going to be tools and gear. This is where a lot of people make a mistake and put in a lot of stuff that's too heavy or things that they don't know how to use. So remember, pack just what you need and try to keep it as light as possible. Number 5 is going to be shelter and warmth. This is going to look different for every person, but remember, if exposed to the elements, you only have about 3 hours worth of survival. So be sure to stay dry, stay warm. Number 6 is first aid kits. This is something that's going to be near and dear to my heart, but remember, once again, don't overdo it. pack things that are going to be practical that you're going to need on a daily basis, like Band-Aids, anti-diarrheal medication, prescription medications, and OTC pain relievers. Have a means to start a fire, whether you're needing to stay warm, cook, or sanitize water. Also, headlamps, because this gives you a means of hands-free lighting so that you can have your hands free to do other tasks. So communication is going to be extremely important as well. Remember, your phone is more than likely not going to work, so plan for no signal, no GPS, and no power. Have a good NOAA radio. I'm not a huge fan of the crank-powered radios, because if things are going sideways, do you really want to be sitting there turning that dial, trying to get that battery to charge up? The biggest thing here is offline maps of your area, and also a compass and means to charge your phone. Number 9, keep copies of all your important documents. Keep hard copies and also a digital backup, because you're always going to assume that the grid will be down, so those hard copies may be more valuable. Once again, local maps of your area. And any disaster area that I've ever been into, the grid is always down, so there's no way to process your credit or debit cards. So cash is always king. Carry a small stash of cash, and be sure to carry it in smaller bills, because you may not always be able to make change. So here are some bonus items that you may want to consider. Remember, what did we all do during COVID? We went and bought 4 years worth of toilet paper and went home and stayed for 6 months. But these are things that we don't think about that may be important, not just for survival, but a good morale booster if we're using these bags for any length of time. Remember, every bag is going to be different for every individual person. So, what kind of backpack do we need to pack to make this emergency bag? Do we need a tactical backpack, or there's a lot of videos out there about the gray man theory? The bad thing about a lot of these videos are made by people that have packed these bags in their studios, sat in their studios and talked about them. They've never actually been out in the real world in any type of emergency situation. So get the kind of bag that's right for you. If you like a tactical backpack, get a tactical backpack. If you prefer something else, just make sure that it's a quality bag, something that's going to hold up if you have to walk a mile or two and carry your equipment with you. You don't want something that the straps are going to break on, or that the zippers are going to bust. So get a decent bag, whatever that looks like for you, and set your pack up based on that. I prefer more of a tactical backpack because most of them are well built. Whether or not they have a ton of MOLLE on the outside of them, it doesn't matter to me whether they have it or not, because I don't like to MOLLE a ton of equipment onto a backpack, because that's more things to hang up, getting in and out of vehicles or whatever you're doing. So I like to keep everything inside my backpack. The biggest thing is, no matter what type of backpack that you go with, people say don't use tactical because it'll make you a target. You know, if I was going to try to take somebody's backpack and I'm looking at two people and I see somebody with a tactical backpack on and somebody with say a Snoopy or Charlie Brown backpack, which one of them do you think is going to be an easier target? So just pick whichever type of backpack you like and set your bag up from that. So we've talked about some of the things that you need to carry in your pack, some of the things that I recommend or that I like to carry. But let's talk about some mistakes that are made with them, some things to do, some things not to do. First is try to pack this thing as light as you can. Keep it in the neighborhood of 20-25 pounds. You know, depending on your body size, you may be able to carry a little bit heavier pack. But if for some reason you have to walk for a mile or two, you may not be physically able or physically fit enough to carry a heavy pack. Review your contents every 6 months. I like to do it in the spring and the fall, because that's when I change out the clothing, because you're going to need heavier clothing in your bag for December versus what you're going to need for August. So in the spring, I like to put in some lighter clothing, take out the heavier clothing. and customize your bag for your locations and your needs. Depending on where you're at, you may need more to carry more water or a means of filtration versus somewhere where water may be more abundant. Some of the things not to do, like we talked about, don't overpack this thing with gear, especially gear that you don't know how to use, because if you get out in an emergency situation and you pull out a ferro rod or a bow drill and you don't know how to use it, it's totally useless to you. I can tell you right now, if I had to use a bow drill, I would freeze to death. Don't rely solely on tech, things like phones and all these apps that are on your phones, because yeah, as long as the grid's up and the cell towers are working, these things work great. But you let a major disaster like a hurricane come through and these towers are down, and your navigation or your apps, they're just not going to work. And don't forget to prepare for your mental game and practice. The best thing that you can do once you get this bag ready, like we said earlier, is you can try it out to see if you can make it for a day or two with it. But put this thing on and wear it for a mile or two, because I promise you will find out a lot about your gear when you get out and you start carrying this stuff around. You'll find out that your backpack has hot spots in it where it's rubbing you raw. You may not even like your pack after you carry it for a little ways. So get out and try these things out and see what's going to work for you and what's not going to work. So thanks for watching.